Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Lorelei Shamayo. You're here with Metaphysical Empowerment and Wellness Events. We interview our readers, healers, and vendors before you get to see us at a fair, so you get to know who we are and what we share. So I'm here today interviewing Chuck Wilson. So Chuck, share with us a bit of what you share at the fairs.
What I share at the fairs, I'm a shaman, and I do shamanic Reiki, which is a blend of the shaman tools. There's quite a different number of tools in the toolbox, and the Reiki tools. It's something that is a very natural thing for me when I got into this. So what I share at the fairs, I do a lot of in a small setting like this, we work with the client very quickly. One of my main tools is my heart drum, which is it's a very real spirit drum. It's a medicine drum. It's something I made her back in July. And what happens is I'll sit with a person very quickly and I'll give them the drum to hold over their heart. And it's quite amazing many times is that it just goes silent and people will have tears coming out because the drum and the spirits that are in the drum will go into the heart chakra and just open. And so we spend a couple of minutes talking back and forth, seeing what the client wants, see what the intent is, what they're looking for maybe today. And I'll listen to the intuition of what the spirit is telling me. And then we'll go, well, let's do this for today. And they may lay down, they may keep holding the drum. I may do a little bit of drumming over them, just to let the vibrations go through certain areas. Do a little bit of Reiki as I'm working on them like this. And so we just try and do a quick assessment, find something that the client really needs and do it. Mm-hmm. I did something, this is what I did at Burning Man this year at the Shaman Dome, is that somebody would come into the tent, we'd sit, give them the drum, they'd hold it. A lot of times they would just start crying. Things would come up and you kind of listen to the intuition and you work with the person, get them what they need. And then when they leave, namaste, and you see their eyes were just so clear and so happy and just full of joy. And then they'd leave, somebody else would come in. Hi, hold the drum if you would. I'll tell you the story.
How is it different than when you see people in private? Is it simply a longer session or the other tools, or what is that like?
When I work with people in private practice, I'll spend a lot more time, especially in the beginning, because it's amazing when people have their heart open. It's something a lot of people have never experienced, because when you have this love and this compassion just flowing into you and opening up what's inside, the client will be just kind of, oh my goodness, this is maybe the problems that I have. And so we'll talk a lot to try and figure out what it is. And as we're talking, the intuition comes through. And I may work with the client to send them on a journey to find their power animals, to find spirit guides. And if they're talking at that point in time of what they're seeing and what's happening, I'll be kind of a guide or coach. Talk with this, ask this question, and things like this. It may be a short journey. I work with people where the journey will last for 2 hours. And it's very intense, in a client like that, because there's a lot of things happening. Or as we're talking, I may lay down, may do a little assessment work to try and figure out if there's parts and pieces in their chakras or their energy field that needs to come out. We'll do an extraction. They may have a lot of emotional trauma from the past, and you have these very damaging toxic cords that are tied. And that might take a long time, because the client has to come to a very specific personal decision that they want to cut these cords. It isn't just a matter of, oh, I want to cut a cord, let's get the scissors out. It's very deep, and it can be very dramatic, but it can be very healing. I do a lot of sound work with my drum, and I'll do a combination. They be on the table, I may drum around them for a while. And it's interesting with the drum, especially a spirit drum, as you go over a person, you can kind of find a spot that you may want to stay at. And you work at that, and you work at this, and you go to another one and work at it. And then I may put the drum on their heart and have them hold it. And then I may be putting my hands in different areas and do the Reiki and let the thing flow. It's just, in a longer setting, you can fine tune the intuition for that particular person, for that particular meeting. And it's, so yeah, I do a lot of different things. I've used it, I've balanced the chakras. I do that with people. The auras. I worked with one client, and there's another shaman in the room, and she was watching and I was working. And she sees auras, I don't, but at least not now. But she said that the person's aura was just really scattered and it was jagged. And I started drumming over her, and I felt I needed to go to the back, and I did. And there's one particular spot I was working. Then I thought, okay, it's done. And the lady said, wow, I felt something pop out. And the shaman lady, her eyes are kind of like this, and she goes, wow, that's what I saw was this. And as you worked, it all smoothed out, and when it was done, it was just this perfect aura around the person. And so that's what she said. I mean, and she sees it a lot. And of course, I just went with my intuition to stay here, and drum, 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 drum. So it's interesting because with the drum, it could be a very quiet one, or it could be, but even with the quiet, it's amazing that people will feel that just move through them, through the table, and into the floor.
Well, it's great. It totally comes through the video. I mean, I can feel it just the moment that you start.
Yeah, it's quite a gift. I mean, I made this drum last July, and when we made it, and all this is out on my blog, though, one of the spirits that's in the drum is my partner, Sandy, who passed away in July. And she was a healer. And so it was a very, very emotional event, and a very spiritual, there's so many spirits in the room, and the energy was so thick that the two shamans that were helping me do this, they took the next 3 days off and did nothing, because they said they had never had such an energetic drum making event ever. And we were all just, yeah. So it's quite a gift.
How did you get started doing this work, both the Reiki and then the shamanic work that you do?
Well, I've been ESP all my life, and my mom is very ESP, and so all that was kind of natural to me. The voice would say, don't do this. I go, okay, I won't do that. Sometimes I do it anyway, and I get hurt. So about 5 years ago, you learn when to listen. And it doesn't take a lot of times before you think, I think I'll listen to the voice this time. So about 5 years ago, I had a real emotional pit, and I was at the bottom more than I'd ever been before. And I got lifted up, and I realized there are spirits there, and they want me to do different things. And so it all seemed very natural. And then what was happening then, I was seeing a holistic psychologist, and he was getting blasted every time I went in there. He'd never had that happen before. So I'm his unique client, or I was back then. And so what had happened is these, I call them wayward energy blasts, would go through people. And one time with my partner, I had my hands on her, kind of giving her a massage, and she just went like this, stop, stop. And this blast of 500 volts was going through her. But what was going through her mind was the word shaman hands. I had never heard of a shaman. I hadn't any idea what this was going on. And so when she told me that, it was, oh, this is interesting. So I started looking into that. I started learning. I went to Reiki class, and I understood the tool set. And actually that Reiki teacher said that, the very few masters that she's ever run into that experienced the same weird stuff that was happening to me. And I call it weird stuff now, but it was, it was amazing. You help people, and they just, something happens. So I learned more, and then I got into I heard about the shamanic Reiki, and to me, that was a natural fit, because the shamanistic side works with people actively, and you listen to them, and your intent, and you work with the spirits, but you really try and help the client be empowered with the tools that you teach them to help themselves as they go through life. A very active traditional shaman will go in, they'll journey, she'll journey, and she'll pull things, and she'll bring back, and she'll actively work with this. At this point where I am, I work with the client a lot. I work with the spirit. I hear what I hear, but I really try and work and help the client work themselves with spirit, with their animals, and teach them tools on how to help themselves. Because it isn't just come back every 2 weeks sort of a thing. It's, here's a tool set, here's how you do it, look at this way, and let's go look at this. And a lot of times, people are so very happy to know that. So that's kind of how I got involved in it. And it's just, I'm a shamanic Reiki master. I got the Reiki master thing, but it's really kind of looking at the tools that you have and understanding them and being able to apply them when you're working with a client, and you kind of think, let's do this today because I think that. And sometimes you'll start and they'll go, well, maybe not. Okay, let's do this differently. And it's a lot of fun. And what I get out of it so much is just the joy of watching the people when they leave, the look in their eyes, because you can have people coming in and they're just scattered, and when they leave, there's just this sense of peace around them and completeness. And a lot of times when I'm working with the heart drum with people, I feel so much of the same love that's going through into the person, because I was told all this stuff I've been told I am. I've never got into this because I even knew about it, but I'm a very kind of a pure channel, and things just flow. I mean, I can go like this and kind of look out the window and spirit's doing what it's supposed to do, which is the way it should be.
Great. And how can people find out more about you on the web?
Well, I have my website, and it's shamanicreikicenter.com, and I have an office in Edmonds, Washington. I work remotely. That's really easy. I've done a number of remote healings. I've done remote death rites, which is a shamanic method. And in the death rite, basically, is you're shortly before or shortly after a person is passing, you try and set a sacred space around them. You bring in their spirits, the light workers, and you try and help them remove the fear of making that transition. And you work with a specific way of helping them shut the chakras down. And I've had direct feedback through other people on this person that I worked with that helping them remove that fear of passing was the greatest gift that anybody could have given them. And it's dramatic, but it's such an emotional thing. But I've done that before too, and it's very rewarding for everybody.
Yeah, it sounds lovely hearing you talk about it. I've seen people pass and the struggle they have with that, and that sounds like a lovely way to open and to flow.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you at our fairs more, and for all of you watching, come see us at MetaphysicalEmpowermentEvents.com. We're in Seattle, Portland, Salem, and Eugene. Thanks so much, Chuck.
You're welcome. Have a good day.